Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk just a little bit about this engine and a few things that I know about it. What I don't know about it, I'm going to direct you to a place where you can learn more about it if you so desire. This engine is a 702 cubic inch. Essentially, it's the equivalent cubic inch of two of the 351s. And I've got one out back. They built the 351 big block V6, and I've got one out back in that cab over at 69 GMC. But there's a rumor floating around the internet that this is two engines coupled together, welded together somehow. It is not. It is a single block with four heads. I even had one guy try to tell me the crank was bolted together. It was two cranks bolted together. It is not. It is a single crank. The crank weighs 180 pounds. This engine only makes 275 horsepower, and it is 630 foot-pounds of torque at 1600 RPM. Now, if you want to know more about this engine, go to a place called 6066GMCguy.com. All the stats are on there. Well, I know it holds 16 quarts all, but things like that. There's everything you want to know about it on there, pretty much. And there's some cool pictures of it. There's a really neat picture of this thing back in the 60s, pulling the Minuteman missile around, moving the Minuteman missile around during the Cold War. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, one thing I know about this engine, and I'm convinced, I've had several people tell me, people that have worked on these engines. There was some people over the years in the YouTube comments talk to me about running these engines and how horrible they are on gas, and they're just terrible and all that, and I think that's wonderful. One guy said it was his job to maintain these engines on a large farm of some kind. They used them for irrigation pumps, and a lot of them were used for irrigation pumps. That's what this was. If you go back in the videos, you'll see where I converted the flywheel and all that, put in the clutches, and it didn't have a clutch flywheel in it. It just had a flywheel to mount a PTO shaft to, and I took all that out and converted it over so that I could put a transmission on it and have the clutches in it. But the guy who maintained them and several other people have told me you don't want to over rev this engine. This engine red lights at 2400 RPM. And more than one person has said if you go over that, you will blow it up. And then most recently I had a comment from a gentleman telling me about a guy he knew that brought one of these to a car show all the time. And I think it was on a stand. It wasn't in a vehicle. It was probably an irrigation pump. But he kept revving it up. He kept over revving it. He was just showing off, you know, and just revving the daylights out of it, and he blew it up. And I said, well, tell the guy I've got a couple spare engines out there, you know. And he goes, well, I'm in Australia. Okay. So, you know, I don't want to over rev this engine. I want to be very gentle with this engine, and it's got so much torque you don't have to rev it anyway. It'll do everything you need to do if you just use your gears, and I've got the transmission in it, and I've got the clutch set up. You only use the clutch to put it in gear to take off anyway. The rest of the time you're just floating the gears, and so I just think it's going to be fun. But a lot of people talk to me about, yeah, it's going to be some massive burnouts. No, this is not a burnout machine. You know, I've got rigs for that, but this is not one of them. I just don't want to over rev this engine. So, one of the engines that I got, one of the spares, had a speedometer gear, and it bolts up here on the back of the engine, and it's in one of the videos, but I'll show it to you again later on. Not speedometer, tachometer. It was geared for a gear for a mechanical tach, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I got. I found one on eBay. So, I have the tach for it. And in order to not over rev this engine, it is critical, crucial, imperative that I have that tachometer right in my face. at all times. Let's see what we come up with in this video. I do believe my pants are on fire. Looks like my chair's on fire. I believe my table's on fire. Oops! Hey, welcome to Rat Rodding. My name's Waylon Wire, and don't ever do what we do here on this channel. Man, would you look at this? 52 degrees today, got the shop doors open. You know, when it gets 52 degrees, I throw the shop doors open and Mr. Heavy Chevy turns the heat on. So it's whatever you get used to, you know. It feels like summertime to me. Oh man, this is nice. Well, winter's not over by any stretch, not for us. I think I've got time to maybe complete a little project on this today. We'll see how it goes. I think I have everything I need. So let's get into it. That's perfect. These engines were built from 1960 until 1974. I think they stopped making the V6s in '66, but they continued on with a few of the V12s. I believe they only made 5,000 of them, and there's very few of them left, and even fewer left running. Glasses. Beam me up, Scotty.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Okay, I said this is a mechanical tack, and maybe I could have said cable tack, because that's what it is. You see a cable just like a speedometer cable attaches to the back, and it goes to that little gear on the engine. Maybe I can show you guys that. Let me put this down for a second. Right down there is the gear that attaches to, and I just think that's kind of cool. Okay, as you can see, this tack has a dial on it, and you can adjust this one contact. You can set it wherever you want it, and then when this rev needle comes around and makes contact with that other contact, it will kill the engine. So it's impossible to over rev it. Now, this engine red line's right there. Now, I'm probably going to set it right there at about $2,000. Now, if I'm understanding what I'm reading and trying to learn about, I don't think it's the tack that kills the engine. As I understand it, there's something called a Murphy switch. And I've been reading up on a Murphy switch, and if any of you guys know about a Murphy switch, if you speak Murphy switch and are fluent in Murphy speak, you can comment and tell me what you know about it. Anyway, I've been reading up, and I think it's this tack that triggers the Murphy switch that kills the engine. That's how I understand it. So I'm going to try and learn a little bit more about it. But that makes sense because this is a Murphy tack. That's what it is, if you can read that. Okay. So there you have it. That's my mechanical cable tack for the Dirty Dozen. Thank you. I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time.